Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who are in this truth from and hold the rule well. Peace and salutations to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. Unto you I say shalom. Coming to you back with another lesson through the Spirit, and I'm entitled this one, All Hell is About to Break Loose. And why is all hell about to break loose? Because now we're at the beginning stages, or really we've been at the beginning stages of the collapse of America, Babylon the Great, and of this Edomite, self-proclaimed white man kingdom. And what Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, is trying to do is reset this whole system by the way of collapsing the dollar, collapsing the economy. And once that happens, that's when people are going to lose it, because now the gas prices have gone up exponentially over the last couple of days because of the whole Iran versus U.S. situation. But majority of the world, and really mainly here in America, Babylon the Great, known as the city of unwalled villages, where people care or live carelessly, thinking that the events happening over there in the Middle East aren't going to come over here to the soils of America are sadly mistaken, because these Americans, these Babylonians, these Egyptians, they're so used to living their day-to-day lives, going to work, paying taxes, eating, drinking, not giving a damn about prophecy. But that's all about to change, and it's changing now, because people thought that the whole Iran versus U.S. situation wasn't going to affect America, but it's affecting it as we speak. Gas prices went from $2 to $3 on their way up to $4, and this Lord's will is just constantly going up to the point where it's $10 a gallon, and that's just going to lead to the collapse of this economy, because people don't understand when the gas of price goes up, when the price of a barrel of oil goes up, that affects everything, because this whole world is ran off transportation, the transportation industry. These people don't understand how their goods, groceries, the victuals, the basic necessities of life get to the store shelves is ultimately by the way of transportation. First, all these different goods have to get imported over here from these other countries, because really America is the biggest importer. They don't really export nothing like that, but it's the biggest consumer, and these people love consuming. But what happens when the price of those goods is so high that people can't afford it no more? It's just going to lead to all hell breaking loose. Civil war, race war, riots, people robbing and looting each other's houses for the lack of bread. That's what it's going to take for these Americans, these Babylonians, to lose their minds, is when their food gets taken away, when you mess with their finances, because as long as you give them bread and circus, Netflix, these people aren't going to revolt. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 1. And it reads, "But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. And the elect, the hopeful elect of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, the remnant of the nation of Israel, that were prophesied to come back and repent to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai in these last days, that were predestined to receive salvation by first and foremost receiving this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding." They know what times that they're in. They're going to know what times they're in ultimately by looking at the prophecies and tying it to the scriptures, like it says right here, 2 Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. "He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before," verse 2, "then shalt thou understand that it is the same very time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And the Most High, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, is visiting the world that he made by the way of judgment, these different plagues that Yahweh Bashim Yahushai created, especially with the whole Middle East situation. You have all hell breaking loose. You have wars in every front of the world. Russia and Ukraine, Iran versus Israel, or the U.S. versus Iran, the whole China versus Taiwan. You have the whole cartel situation over there in Mexico. These are the beginning stages of sorrows, like it says in Matthew chapter 24. And I can get that too real quick, because what these people don't understand, that this is the end of this current kingdom being ran by the self-proclaimed white man that is no other than Esau Edom. Because in Job chapter 9 and verse 24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, and that's why Esau Edom has complete rulership of the entire earth, because it was a blessing given unto him by Yahweh Bashim Yahushai through Isaac. And we're at the end of his blessing, and that's why he's bugging out. His psyops and witchcraft are looking tacker, and that's why he has to shut this thing down. He has to collapse this system. This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 3. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came unto him privily, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the signs of thy coming and of the end of the world? So this was way back then, 2,000 years ago, asking him, what are the signs of the world? And then ever since, who everybody ignorantly calls Christ, came upon the planet Earth during the first time, during 2,000 years ago, that marked the last days of this current world, which is being ran by the self-proclaimed white man Esau Edom. And how much more now? Verse 4, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. Verse 5, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. And a lot of our people of the nation of Israel, of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they've been deceived by these false prophets, by these false leaders, these jakes in the world, these politicians, these actors that are putting our people to sleep, telling them all, don't worry about the whole Iran versus U.S. situation. That don't have to do nothing with what's going around the world. Don't worry about geopolitics. That don't have to do nothing, with you. Man, that's how a lot of our people been deceived by these Christian pastors, these other Israelite camp leaders. They're not preparing their followers, their congregation, for what's about to come upon the planet Earth. All hell breaking loose. People starving to death, famine, sword, destruction. Verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Yeah, and then we see all these prophecies popping out the book, out of the pages, but we know ultimately that the collapse of this dollar, the collapse of this economy has to happen first before that third world war goes nuclear, which is going to be spearheaded by the mass implementation of the MOTB written about in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16, which is no other than the RFID microchip. That's how the self-proclaimed white man Esau Edom is going to push his new system by the means of that RFID microchip, where if you don't have that microchip, then you can't buy and sell, you can't participate in society, and people are going to be begging for it because it's going to be so bad. It's going to be all hell breaking loose that people are going to beg for that solution. They're going to beg for that RFID microchip for so a sense of normalcy, which is nothing's even normal, and it never was, but that daily routine that they've been so accustomed to, they're going to want that back. And Esau Edom is going to offer it. They're going to be like, okay, if you want your job back, if you want to be able to buy in the grocery store and get groceries, then you're going to have to take this microchip. And the majority of the world is going to take it, but not the elect. Because during the hour of temptations, which is going to be when that RFID microchip gets implemented upon the planet Earth. That's going to be the hour of temptation. And that's when all hell, had already broke loose. The World War III's, is to the point where it's going to go nuclear during that time. But we know that prophecy has to come first before the nukes, the ICBMs, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, be shot to the different parts of the earth. But America, which is Babylon the Great, the mother of all harlots, and the land of Israel, they're going to get utterly destroyed by the way of those ICBMs. When the other countries that are against the U.S. and Israel, and even its own allies, are going to turn on America, Babylon the Great. Because all America does is go throughout the four corners of the earth and just takes everybody's resources, not giving a damn about the repercussions. I'm going to jump down. I'm going to get verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And this is already happening. Every country is to the point where it's divided amongst themselves. That's why civil war is going to happen. Race war, especially here in America. These people are divided amongst, they're the most divided amongst all people upon the planet Earth. This is that melting pot. You have Christianity here, Islam, Buddhism, all these different religions. You have every single ethnicity, nation here in America, Babylon the Great. And that's going to lead, or that's already leading to high tensions, but it's just going to go up more and more. It says, verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. So we're at the beginning of sorrows, and it's only going to ramp up more and more, Lord willing. They don't get into no toxic peace, no ceasefire. I'm going to jump back to 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So all these prophecies that are popping out the scriptures, out of the Bible, they've been written thousands of years ago, way back then. But now it's happening in front of everybody's face, so people can't deny that the scriptures are true, that the Bible is a living book. But like it says right here, I'm gonna get it. This is 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 3 and verse 5. For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out the water and in the water. Verse 6, whereby the world that then was being overflowed with water perished. And that's the same spirit that majority of our people, the wicked of our people that weren't predestined to receive deliverance, the 2/3, like it says in Zechariah chapter 13 and verse 8, during that same spirit that the sons of God were during the time of Noah. Noah was out there prophesying for 120 years, building the ark. But what did the sons of God do? They ain't believe it, Here Noah's building a big old ark to deliver his household. But yet the world looked at it as foolish, and the world is looking at the prophets in the same light. Like, oh man, y'all crazy. You guys going the thermonuclear missiles, man, that's never going to happen. But here, the U.S. just tested its ICBM, without the nuke inside, but the launching system, and it hit its target. And all these different countries, they have those same capabilities to hit America, Babylon the Great. And that's what's going to happen to this place. It's going to get hit by intercontinental ballistic missiles, where it's going to utterly destroy this place and never be inhabited ever again. This is where that lake of fire, where that second death is going to take place. Because these people don't think that these prophecies are going to ever come to pass, because they never seen intercontinental ballistic missiles be shot. But it's evident that it's ramping up to that point, because these countries, they don't want to use the nukes because of how devastating its power is. But like it says in Proverbs chapter 21, the mind, the heart of the of the kings is in the control of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So it don't matter how many peace talks and, oh no, let's not use the nukes. Ultimately, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is going to put it up on the spirit, up on the minds of these prime ministers, these presidents, these kings, to hit that rep button. Jump back to 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 5. For like as all that is made in the world had a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest and is being made manifested in front of everybody's faces. People can no longer try to deny that the Bible is true. Here, Elon Musk and Trump are straight up telling you that we're getting prepped for the battle of Armageddon, you know? Verse 6, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. And these are all signs pointing towards the collapse of this system, the collapse of this economy, the collapse of this kingdom. I'm going to jump down back to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 2. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. And that's how it's going to be when all hell breaks loose, when Yahushua makes his second coming, when he cracks the clouds and allows America to be destroyed by thermonuclear missiles, and also by the way of the chariots of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, who everybody ignorantly calls UFO. That's going to be when that battle of Armageddon is taking place, when everybody's fighting amongst themselves. That's when Yahushua is going to return, you know, and he's going to utterly destroy all those troops in the Middle East, in the valley of Yahushua, which is the valley of judgment. That's all formulating right now, you know, but yet people are eating, drinking, giving into marriage. But that's how Yahweh Bashim Yahushai wants majority of the planet Earth, you know, to not be paying attention to the signs in the sky. The blood moons. Here we had a blood moon a couple days ago, you know, signaling that, okay, you know, this kingdom is through, but these people are still moving like they got a lot of time. Jump to verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon him, as travail upon a woman with a child, and they shall not escape. So whenever a woman is getting ready to birth that baby, it's not going to stop. That baby's going to be pushed through, and we're at the beginning stages. We're at the beginning stages of that baby being delivered, which is the elect, the remnant, the 144,000, and that large multitude, the 1/3. But first, those birth pains have to keep getting harder or stronger and stronger, and that's what's happening because people are in that spirit of being comfortable, being settled on their leads, thinking that never nothing's ever going to happen. But that's changing rapidly, you know, with the whole Iran versus U.S. situation, because majority of the people, they don't even know that that's taking place. They don't even know why gas went up all of a sudden. But the remnant, the elect, they know why, because they're paying attention. They're measuring the times diligently. Verse 4, but ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day shall overtake you as a thief. Because the elect of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, they're in the know. They know what signs to watch out for. They know, okay, this whole Iran versus U.S. situation, nukes aren't going to be shot off to the mass implementation of that RFID microchip, which is the MOTB in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16. While majority of the world is just playing around, the elect, they're getting prepared. This is, let's see. This is Mark chapter 13 and verse 30. Verily I say unto you that this generation shall not pass till all these things be done. So we're in that generation right now, because majority of our people and these heathens, they have that mindset that, okay, you know, the second coming of Jesus Christ, of Jebus, Caesar Borgia, they think that is generations away, that it's not going to happen in this lifetime. But it says, verse 31, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. Verse 32, but of that day and that hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father. Verse 33, take ye heed, watch and pray, for ye know not when the time is. And that's what the remnant, the elect, are doing. While the rest of our people, the 2/3 and these heathens, because you even have these red-blooded Edomites, these preppers, they're watching out for these times, but they're not preparing how Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai told us to prepare, to just, watch and pray, study, like it says in I'm going to get it because I don't want to butcher it. Yeah, this is 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 13. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to get into GNT. It says, until I come, give your time and effort to the public reading of the scriptures and to preaching and teaching. And that's what the true prophets of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai and the believers taking heed to the message being spoken are doing. Because you have a lot of Christians, a lot of other Israelite camps. They're not exhorting and edifying their congregation, for what's about to come upon the planet Earth. To build that relationship up with Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai and draw closer during this grace period, during the mercy period. Only the remnant, the elect, are doing that, while the rest of the world, they're worried about getting the bag, building up fame. But ultimately, that's not going to deliver them, because they're not preparing in the correct way. Jump back to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 4. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day shall overtake you as a thief. Verse 5, you are all children of the light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. So the remnant, the elect, they're in the know. They're watching out for these things. While the rest of the world, they're just wiggling around thinking that, I'm just continue to live like this forever. No, everything's about to change very soon in the near future. Passover is right around the corner. And usually, or I ain't going to say usually, but right after the Passover or before the Passover, that's when things start to ramp up. That's when spring begins. That's when things start to spring forward. Verse 6, therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober, being in that sober mindset of not being taken by the distraction of the world, the bread and circus, your job, your women. That's what these people are being taken by. That's why they're not paying attention to the whole situation going on in the Middle East. They think it doesn't affect them in any way. But here, Iran straight up told these U.S. citizens, to watch out, because there may be an attack. And, really, it might be the own government of the U.S., attacking its own citizens like it did back in 2001. Verse 7, but they that sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. And that's majority of these Babylonians, these Americans, being drunken off the Babylonian wine, the American dream, the bread and circus, TikTok, and all these things that don't matter. Verse 8, but let us who are of the day be sober, putting on a breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet the hope of salvation. And all these prophecies have to come to pass. Even though we're in the midst of it, We're in the midst of the collapse of the revived Roman Empire, Babylon the Great America. We're in the midst of the collapse of the U.S. dollar. Ultimately, these things have to happen first, and before that salvation takes place, these prophecies have to come to pass. Verse 9, for Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai had not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. And that's only reserved for the remnant. When all hell breaks loose, only the remnant are going to be kept from these calamities. They're going to go into that strong tower, while the rest of the world, they're just going to be taken when all hell breaks loose, because they weren't preparing themselves spiritually, mentally, physically. They were just wiggling around, thinking that they were just going to continue with their 9-to-5, their sedentary lifestyles, and that's why they're going to get caught like a thief in the night, but not the remnant, not the elect, because they were preparing themselves during this grace period, during when the doors of mercy were still open. But that's pretty much the point. I pray that this was edifying to the elect. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory that's due to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who all learned this truth from and who grew well. Peace and salutations to the 144,000, the rest of the elect. Unto you I say shalom.